Hello, it's Uncommon Fossil, and today I want to talk about a Noivern EX deck that I have been working on. I've made some changes to the deck list at different times. Is this the best 60 for it at this time? I'm not certain. There's still questions I have, but this is a good place to start. I took a look at a number of different lists and kind of pulled things together to what I thought was a cohesive list for right now. So Noivern EX, if you're not familiar with it, it's from Paldea Evolved. It's a stage 1 EX 260 HP. So 260 is not great, but it's a dragon type, so it has no weakness. And it does have free retreat, so that's nice too. And it's got two very good and a very annoying attacks for your opponent. Covert Flight for 2 colorless does 70 damage. And then during opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon. Obviously, not every deck is attacking with basics, and most decks aren't strictly basic Pokemon, but you're making life difficult for your opponent, right? This is not really a walling off deck where you completely shut down your opponent, but you're making life difficult through a number of pieces. One is immunity to basics, then the second attack for Psychic, Darkness, Dominating Echo does 140, so that's a better damage amount. It's solid, it's reasonable. You're not one-shotting any multi-prizer, but you're two-shotting most multi-prizers, and that is good enough. And then during your opponent's next turn, they can't play any special energy cards or stadium cards from their hand. And both those things are important, right? Like up against Mew decks, they're in a lot of trouble. Up against Arceus, they need to get the DTE into play, so shutting down the ability to play special energy, very effective there. And the other thing, and also say a Lugia deck, they want to accelerate, but they also want to attach from hand, so making life difficult there. And then not being able to play stadiums is huge too, because we play 4 path in the deck, and keeping our opponent from bumping that path really helps us out a lot. The best there is Lost Vacuum. And there is a card like, I think Worker is the one, right? The supporter, you draw 3 and discard a stadium and play. But the most reliable way the most common way for stadiums to be bumped is often through another counter stadium. So taking that out is very good here. So we're just making life difficult for our opponent. We're not shutting them down completely, but we're slowing them down so that we can take our 6 prizes first. So what else do we have to help shut down? Oh, so it's a 3/3 line. And so with 3, the Noibat is 70 HP. Retreat cost is 1, so it does not have free retreat, so just keep that in mind. And then we play 1 copy of Spiritomb, right? Basic V Pokemon in play have no abilities. We don't play any V, so not a problem for us, but can really disrupt your opponent once again. Mew players shutting down that Genesect, so a lot of times you want to get down Spiritomb, you want to get down Klefki, which we'll get to next, before the game starts even. Usually, with decks, I always say you just want to bench your starter, play your starter, leave your bench empty, but this one, Spiritomb in play, very good. Because it also shuts down Luminous V, but it shuts down Genesect from the very first turn of the game. So, and obviously you don't know what your opponent's playing, so generally getting that Spiritomb down is okay. That extra bench Pokemon usually will not cost you the game. And then we play 3 Klefkis, a really nice card to shut things down too, with this Mischievous Lock ability, as long as this Pokemon's in the active spot. So it has to be in the active, but then basic Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's have no abilities except for Mischievous Lock. So it does shut down Spiritomb, but then Klefki shuts down the basic Vs anyway because they're basic, right? So Klefki shuts down even more cards. So a lot of times you want to get a Klefki in the active, put a Klefki on the bench so that if your opponent ropes you, you still have that Mischievous Lock in play. So it slows down a number of things here. So it's nice. Now, it does mess with the secondary attacker in the deck, which is Galarian Moltres with its Malevolent Charge ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to your bench, during your turn, you may attach up to 2 dark energy cards from your hand to this Pokemon. Although, actually, does it? Now I'm wondering the question, because is the ability come in, it says when you play it, so is the ability actually happening before it's in play, right? Because Klefki says Pokemon in play, so is the ability take place before it's played or after it's played? I'm not sure. Again, there's a ruling there, which I'll need to try to find out, actually, because that does interest me, besides being useful to know. But this is our big attacker, right? Noivern can get up to 140, not bad, but Fiery Wrath for dark, colorless, and we play dark and psychic energy. as well as Luminous Energy. We'll get to that shortly. Does 20 damage plus 50 more for each prize card your opponent's taken. So if taken, say, 4 prize cards, we're at doing 220, taking out a basic V generally, or a basic EX. So it does bigger damage. We can do 270 if they've taken 5 prizes. We don't play any tools in this deck to buff the damage. We could do that. That is certainly something that in some of the lists, and it does have value. I can see the argument towards it. So this one big attacker, should the Moltres be in the deck or not, I'm not certain, but I like having it in at this point. A 2/2 Bibarel line for Industrious Incisors, right? Once during a turn, you draw until you have 5 cards in hand. Very useful card. It's really our only engine that we have in the deck, so the 2/2 line there is quite nice. So getting to the energy, I mentioned this before, play 4 Luminous Energy. It counts as any type of energy as long as you only have 1 special energy. So we usually want to attach this first to our Noivern because it can cover the dark or the psychic costs. So therefore, even if we already have 1 of each of the other energies in hand, you play the Luminous Energy. If you get judged or Iono'd, you just need to hit either type of energy and you can pay for the attack. So 4 Luminous, nice in the list. I like it. And then 4 Dark, 4 basic psychic as well. So let's get into the trainers here. Playing 4 Crushing Hammers. Should this be in the deck? Not in the deck. This is another kind of in and out card from my standpoint. But look, it's not a straight control deck. It's not a straight wall deck. It's really a disruption deck, making life difficult for your opponent. So getting rid of some energy with Crushing Hammer, particularly the basic energies, right? Because we can prevent them from playing special energy, and we'll see we do play Giacomo to get rid of special energies. But getting rid of those basics again, hitting 1 or 2 heads over the course of a game, just slowing your opponent down by a turn, that can make the difference. Because that's what we're doing. We're just slowing down our opponent, just grinding the game to a really slow pace so we can win. Because we're not doing big damage, right? Either 70 or 140, but that is enough to get the job done most of the time. I'm finding this deck is pretty successful, I'll say, so I do encourage you to give it a try. So I play 2 Raihan, another card that's been in and out, but since we play the basic energy, I really like Raihan, just really helps set up. It's come in clutch in this deck with me for sure. 1 Escape Rope to do some switching. You don't want to use Rope to get you... Well, no, Rope's a good card. So we play 1 Rope and 2 Switch, because often I think leaning towards the basic Switch is better, because if we're attacking, we want to keep the opponent's active stuck there at times. So I like the Switch, but Rope is nice too. 3 Judge, right? Each player shuffles their hand, their deck draws 4. We're really a disruption-based deck. Judge, especially early, is a really good card. Gets them to a small hand early on. 4 Nest Ball, just get some basics in play. I don't play Battle VIP Pass. I have played that in the deck at times too. Kind of cut that when I added some of the other cards. I like this. I kind of prefer Nest Ball over Battle VIP Pass because you can use it after turn 1, right? So I like the Nest Ball. I think that's the right play. 2 Professor's Research, a good card, but we don't want to be discarding once we get going. So I think 2 is enough. 2 Boss. Just very good card. 4 Path to the Peak, another way we're just messing with our opponent, making so they can't set things up. And obviously, there's a lot of cards like the Charizard EX deck, which also then plays Pidgeot EX, or the Baxcalibur EX deck. The Chen PAL EX deck, that has Baxcalibur, which doesn't get shut down, but we shut down Baxcalibur's ability to draw energy. We shut down Charizard's ability to accelerate energy. We shut down Pidgeot's ability to search for 1 card. So Path, another way just to slow down your opponent for a few turns. Eventually they'll draw into it and bump the Path, but just every turn you can mess with your opponent that much closer to victory. 3 Iono, you know what that does. Really good early and late. 1 Giacomo, really good for special energy decks, in particular against the Mew matchup, right? Because Mew with Elisa Sparkle, and the Fusion Strike energy makes the Genesects immune to the effects of abilities, so they can still draw with it. So just Giacomo away the special energies, multiple special energies, and then just attack and keep them from playing more special energies. Really, really effective there. 1 Super Rod, get back some Pokemon and or basic energy. 4 Ultra Balls, get those Pokemon in play. And 2 Switch. So it's been, I would say, a very solid list. Again, I've tweaked it in and out some, but this is the 60 I have. Let me know if you have comments about how to change the deck, but I do think it is a very solid play. It's a fun deck. I enjoy this type of deck. Just, aggravate your opponent as you work through getting damage and prizes. So I encourage you to give this deck a try. We'll take a look and see what it can do. All right, so we'll see how things go. Obviously, we have Noivern EX, an evolution attacker, so we want to go first with the deck if we can. And also seeing what we're up against and the option to get some cards like Klefki and such into play as we need it can cause trouble to our opponent as well. So, our opponent is choosing. We'll probably go second, but we'll see what happens here. Yes, so I'll see what my options are in terms of putting something into play to mess with abilities. So, well, it makes it simple. I'm playing Spiritomb, so these have no abilities. This doesn't need to be in the active, but it's fine there. So Chen PAL deck, probably, so that's good. They can't use their ability. Path to the Peak, obviously, is big. Crushing Hammer. I will not be walling off special energies, of course, with this deck. It's obviously that there's decks that really crushes. There's a lot of strong basic energy decks, and these decks with acceleration are particularly strong. The Chen PAL and such. So what did they discard here? Got fancy arts. Okay, they didn't get a lot done. So that's good. Wow, this is terrible. I guess I want to Pokestop because I really need. I'd like to get a Pokemon in play, right? Got two. Okay, got a Klefki down. So I might now want to. I could get a Klefki down. So basics don't have abilities, but that's not really what I need. So I think I need to get Noibat down, start him evolving. Don't love this, I gotta say, but I'll let them knock out the Spiritomb. I only play one Spiritomb. I do have some recovery. I could rope, but I want to keep the Noibat alive, right? So I can evolve to Noivern. So, okay, so they canceling Cologne. That works out well. So they can, well, I mean, it will. I don't really know. They did that really to thin, right? Basic Vs don't have, so it would stop. Luminous V would be probably what they have, which they might play in deck, but they didn't need that. I don't shut down Chen PAL. This is where Klefki would be good with this deck, right? Because it stops Chen PAL from drawing. Also, Path to the Peak is good as well. Not in a great spot here. So we'll see what happens here. Yeah, just not in a very good spot. So I do have the hammer. I don't really want to use the hammer unless I can get Path down, though. And they didn't attach anyway. So Path, I think I want to toss down. I want to toss down the Path. I really need to get some Pokemon in play. So let me use Pokestop. See what I lose. Lost a Noivern. That's unfortunate. I will get a Klefki into play. Let's see. All right, so I still have two Noivern. That's okay. I will rope. I don't. Let me think here. Rope. Get the Klefki into the active. They can Bibarel. Obviously, I can't shut down Bibarel, but I do shut down the Chen PAL. I will toss the Path down, which does it as well, right? It's a bit redundant what I've done there. Attach the Psychic and end turn, right? I want to attach the Psychic and not the Dark Energy because with the Dark Energy, I can accelerate that to Galarian Moltres, and I still may wish to attack with that. So they bumped my Path. One, I don't know, we'll see what happens with the Stadium War. But of course, so they may play Rope. Rope is the card they want to get here because that gets my Klefki out of the active. I don't have one on the bench. A Klefki on the in the active and on the bench is the best situation. So Irida, they may be grabbing a rope. Wouldn't be surprised if they are. We'll see what happens. Do I have any basic energy? No basic energies in the discard pile. So getting the back Excalibur into play. Obviously, I don't shut that down either. But, you know, shutting down Chen PAL does help, right? Because therefore they have a hard time getting those energies into hand. So let's see. And they've already used the Bibarel, though. So now, yeah, I guess that's fine. I guess it didn't really matter. I was just thinking sequencing, should they have Pokestop before they accelerated? Maybe. I mean, it's unlikely that anything would have changed their plan of accelerating that energy. They certainly didn't need to do it beforehand, though, so it might have been better to wait just in case something unusual happened and they wanted to change their plan. But that's fine. You know, a lot of gold cards here. Yeah, very blinged out deck. So my turn. No prizes taken yet. Not loving things, of course. I think now I'm getting nervous, but I really need to get some things going. Switch card is fine. Lost the Moltres. Klefki. I think I may want to attack with my basic energy. Getting a basic energy in the discard pile lets me use Raihan in the future, right? So, so I'll do a little that smidge of damage, not really meaningful. If they rope me, I'm kind of disappointed. Although it does pay for the retreat cost. I still can retreat in Raihan too, right? If they gust up something else, I can send the Klefki to the active. It's the Noibat that I don't want to get knocked out, right? They could boss that. If they rope me, I'll send up my other Klefki. So canceling clone. So now they can use, well, just thinning their hand again. I mean, if they get, now, if they played a rope, that's a good question. If they played a rope, does canceling cologne affect the next active Pokemon? Is it only the current active Pokemon that's infected, or is it all Pokemon that are in the active for the rest of the turn? I'm not quite certain about that. So I may have to try to look. If my opponent plays a rope this turn, then we will find out. So they're Raihaning me, which I don't mind. Obviously, I'm going to want to go the wall behind the basic Pokemon. That's really what I want to do. Giacomo is no use in this game. The Luminous, again. So I'll Raihan to one of my two bench Pokemon, which is fine. Do I want to get Spiritomb out of play, right? I can get Spiritomb out of play with his attack. So they've set up, by accelerating to the Chen PAL, they're assuming their attack with Chen PAL again. So I can wall off the Chen PAL, which is quite nice. So I don't really know that I want to, I think I want to sit on the hammer still, right? So I will attach the Dark Energy to, I'll attach it to the Klefki. I need a Noivern EX. I don't really know that, I'm not thrilled with as I'm tossing all these Pokemon. I'm getting concerned that, so I'm going to attack, and I'm protected from damage from basics next turn. They need to attach one energy to retreat the Chen PAL. Now, rope. If I get roped and sent back to the bench, then it does get them out of that situation. I really obviously do want to get Path down. Obviously, at this point, though, I may Pokestop away the Path, and I can't recover the Path, so I'm a little I'm not thrilled. I have a decent number of draw supporters, just not hitting them. Raihan was quite good, though. I'm glad I put that in the deck, came through clutch there. That was one of the changes I made to the list. This is the Noivern 2 list. Made changes. Galarian Moltres was one of the changes. Okay. All right. They could take out my 2 bench Pokemon. I'm not quite sure why. Honestly, if they blow up my bench, I kind of don't mind this. Then the only thing they have to attack with is Bibarel, right? Which isn't bad at all. If I get a path down, do I want to toss down Bidoof? I think I honestly don't. The idea of losing all my bench Pokemon, just having Noivern, then all I have to do is manage the Bibarel is the only thing that can do damage to me the rest of the game. And the Excalibur. I apologize. This Excalibur can. It 2-shots me, right? I would love to get down another. So I'm just going to kind of keep banging away here. Keeping, covert flighting. I could, I've seen lists that play the, not Choice Belt, the one that just does 10 damage more, which I'm blanking on the name right now. So Ultra Ball. The problem is they're going to take me out with, I'm just trying, sorry, I'm thinking to myself, do I want to get the Noibat down, right? Because I have the Ultra Ball. I could have searched for Noibat. I have one in the deck, right? But the problems, they would probably, if they're smart, they would take it out with the Radiant Greninja. That's their play this turn. So Arceus, so I really need to, so Arceus is bad too. I really need to get Path to the Peak down. I need to hit Path. So I have Judge, which I will probably play. They're going to wipe out my bench. Path to the Peak, and then they might not be able to. Okay, so they're just thinning. I like they're getting rid of their Pokestop. That now they're and they use 2 things that could bump Path that turn, which I really like. Right, the Lost Vacuum is gone, and 1 Pokestop is gone. So they're gonna, I assume, accelerate in energy. They should have put that 3rd energy on Radiant Greninja rather than the 3rd energy on Chen PAL, right? Because they could discard. So this is getting dangerous. Might want to hammer away at the Arceus, because that's my big concern right now. So Arceus, I think, get the Noibat into play. Okay, so I'm going to work on the Arceus. I want to get the energy off the Arceus because that's my threat. Failed there. Let me try again. The other ones I'm glad to, that's unfortunate. Okay, so I will Giacomo Bidoof, get rid of those. Get down Noibat. Right, which I'm glad I didn't get the Noibat into play that turn. Hopefully I hit Path here. That's really my goal. I'm going to Judge, and I hope I hit Path. So I'm going to attach the Luminous Energy because that gives me the most outs towards attacking next turn with him. Got Path. That is very good. Very, very good. Do I want to get that Noivern EX into play? I don't think so. I will just attack for 70. If they don't have, they need to get 2 energies into play. If they get 2 energies into play, they can knock out the Noibat, right? They have to accelerate 2 energies, though. So that's the question this turn. They can't, with Path to the Peak, they can't use Arceus. This V-Star power. Okay, they're going to get the energies. They're going to knock out my Noibat. ooh, they failed. Oh, they ran out of resources. They were down to 2 cards. They didn't have what they needed. So, while it's not a lock deck or a complete wall deck, it caused enough grief for my opponent that they conceded. So the deck did what it did what it needed to do, is what I mean to say. So let's, yeah, that was good. That was the deck doing exactly what it needed to do. So we'll take a look at another game. All right, hopefully I win the toss here. Would like to go first. Last game I did go second and won that up against, one of the trickier matchups because they don't use special energy. Special energy decks, what I'd really love to see is a Mew deck, because it can just roll over Mew big time and just lock it out of playing special energies, Giacomo away what they have. Their only option is to Elisa sparkles those energies into play. It's tough to do. So anyway, unfortunately, my opponent knows they're up against Noivern here. So it might be Charizard, which obviously not a surprise if someone's playing Charizard. But Path to the Peak is very good for that deck. This is not a good starting hand. Obviously, could get donked here. All right, so I'm going to want Path into play. So attach an energy, play Path, end turn, right? That's it. There's nothing else I can do. I want to do both those things. I wanted to attach the energy so I can retreat Bidoof next turn or in the future. Wanted to get Path down. Probably they play Raihan. Want to stop them from setting up the mulligan. Gave them an extra card in hand. So it's tough. I have good supporters though, right? That's the nice thing. I have supporters for this next turn, so they can bump my state. So they're probably going to bump Path. And now there's a decent chance I'm going to lose the game, right? The Forest Seal Stone's a very nice card for them because the Path to the Peak does not shut that off. Okay, judging first. That was a good hand for the next turn. Not a very good hand for my first turn. I have Raihan, but that's not going to do me any good because if I'm knocked out, it's game over. And Giacomo doesn't do anything this game. I don't imagine they play any special energy back in the time before rotation with speed, lightning energy. That, of course, probably the deck would have played that, and that would have been nice to get out of the way. But we'll see what happens. I'm not in great position. Now, they attached energy to the active, and that means they're probably not going to take the knockout, right? Because they're not going to be able to accelerate a second energy to the active. They're going to power it up with fast charge, though, so that's unfortunate. But this isn't bad, though, if they knock out my active, right? So they're going to accelerate to themselves. That's all they could do. Wow, they attached wow, they're really worried about that Mareep, because once it revolves to Flaffy, it'll actually have less HP, so that's a bit odd. Okay, as long as they don't knock out the Noibat on the bench, I'm okay. That's the deal, right? So Noibat down. I have a Noivern. I can use Raihan and get what I need, right? And then just wall off the basics. So I'm just going to end turn here. That's it. All right. If they gust me up and knock out the Noibat, it's essentially game over for me. If they drew a rope or a boss. So this is good. They're going to knock out the Bidoof. And I'm going to wall them off, and then they're down to Flaffies to attack with. And that is not a good path to victory for them. So I like this. This is good. I like this a lot. I can't shut down the Flaffies. It's not a V Pokemon. It is not a Rulebox Pokemon. It is not a basic Pokemon. So, okay, so what are they? Oh, that's right. They if they grabbed a rope with that, they didn't. Okay, good. Rope would have been game lost to me. I forgot about the Forest Seal Stone. They've done a nice job waiting for it. I understand research. They get 7 cards. I think if I get a Noivern EX into play, it's just about game over. Obviously, I'm not going to get Iono or Judge now, which is very good. The Flaffies, I think, are all that they can attack me with, so that's quite nice. They have an energy in the discard, so they're going to probably get a Flaffy into play. That's okay. Flaffy, I 2-shot the Flaffy because it does 70. Flaffy's does 50 for 3, though, so they have to hit me a lot of times to make that work. I might actually be better off with this matchup just sitting on the Noivern and not benching anything else. Then they can't rope me, they can't boss me, they can't remove my immunity, so they're accelerating to Flaffy there, so they know what's going to happen. So that's okay. I think I just want to get the Noivern in play and then just start working on the Mareep and the Flaffy. Wow. Okay. Well, that's an interesting play on their part. Very, very, very interesting, right? So I will evolve because that's what I need to do. I don't want the Noivern in the active, so I'm just going to end turn. Hopefully they don't have rope or boss. They might not be able to one-shot me, but they can certainly. Well, actually, they could one-shot me, couldn't they? They need 6 times. They need 5 energies, which they have 5 energies in play. So boss, they knock out my Noivern EX, and I lose the game. I really want them to take out the Bidoof. They know what's happening here. So if they have rope, it's essentially game over. They probably play rope in the deck, I would imagine. Electric generator. So are they gonna power up the Flaffy probably, knowing what they got to do? No, power up the Miraidon. Okay. I just at this point, if I get a research, I guess I play that. So they keep not wanting to use their attack. Oh, no. Okay, they attacked. All right, good. So now they've done what I wanted. They decided they couldn't wait anymore, right? I mean, they had a lot of turns where decking out was a concern. Okay, so this is exactly what I want. There, I will take a Psychic Energy just in case they play something to disrupt my special energy, right? Because losing special energy would be very bad for me. And I will just start attacking, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully I get a boss at some point. I probably want to take out the Mareep and one-shot that. I two-shot the Flaffy so it can get, potentially, they could attack me twice with it. I have to use Covert Flight every turn, though. I don't have an option about that because they will one-shot me if I'm not immune to basics, right? So I have to Covert Flight every turn. I can't get to. I mean, Defiance Band would get me the one-shot here of the Flaffy, but don't play that, and I think that makes sense not playing it. If I were to draw a boss, I might want to actually gust up the Flaffy and hit into it. We'll see. They might retreat to hit me with Flaffy. But they do 100, and the next one does 100. So we'll see what happens. I would love them not to attack with Flaffy and then be able to boss and knock it out or knock out the Mareep. Would be the best thing. So Iono, that's not bad because I'm getting 6 cards. Glad for that. There. Okay. So I have the option of another Pokemon to play. I don't know that I want to use it, though. So I like the boss. The boss is quite nice. So switch card, just keeping the energies healing up some. I think I just have to hit into them is what I have to do. I do 70. The bosses are nice cards to have. So 70, 70. I just got to keep up my immunity to basics, probably. They're going to have to hit me with a third Flaffy at this point. They should have probably accelerated energies to the Mareep. I think we'll see. Yeah, they're failing energy. They've got a lot of energies in play, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 energies in play. So the odds of them failing with electric generator are decent here. So they'll hit into me again. All right, they might even get some more energy accelerated, eventually. So they can attack with me next turn as well. So I want to finish off the Flaffy, take out the, get the Mareep, and if they get another Mareep in play, and I sit here with this hand, I just gust up what they're going to do. So what are they going to do? So Boss is good. Are they going to send up a basic to kind of wall themselves off? They are. So that was a big mistake, unless they, yeah, and they Iono'd me, so they're not going to hand disrupt me. So that was a big mistake on their part. Big mistake. So I have the choice of, do I want to take out the Mareep or the Flaffy, right? That's the question. Flaffy, I knock it out. I think I take out the Mareep, though, at this point. Let me just, what's the Pokemon? No Pokemon in the discard. All right, so I'm going to take out the Mareep. It's fully powered up. I one-shot it, so it saves 50 down the road from getting damaged. So, you know, I think they should have attacked with Flaffy again. I don't know if they have the Flaffies to make it work. I don't think they have any, you know, if they can bench a Pokemon, if they play Echoing Horn, that would lose me the game, because I do have Pokemon in the discard, right? Yes, I have that Bidoof that they knocked out. So I can, if I don't get hand disruption here, it's game over for them with this basic walling situation. So I'm pretty sure that this is game over. They'll probably concede at this point, I would think. I don't see any way that they, my mouse kind of bumped something, and I almost clicked the wrong attack, which would have been disaster, right? They only had done 50 damage to me, and they conceded because I don't think they had any way to win the game at that point. So the deck with its, so there we have two games where the deck just did what it wanted to do. The first game just caused enough problems, slowed down my opponent, and the second game, just that basic walling is very good, right? There's decks where the basic wall wins. There's decks, opponents where the special energy shutdown wins. And then, of course, Path to the Peak, Klefki, Spiritomb, just disrupting, making your opponent's lives very difficult. It's a pretty solid deck, you know, and it can beat Charizard too, because Charizard, you know, Charizard with Pidgeot EX, very dangerous, but Path to the Peak can win that game for you. So it has the chance to beat every game, and you're certainly causing a lot of trouble. So I think it's a pretty strong deck now, and I do think it's a fun deck to play. Give it a try.